Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we are doing, or today in the next few days actually, we're doing something a little bit different. Doing a bit of a focus on BAR's Apprentice League over the next couple of days. So we're going to see 3 videos of the exact same match. No, not exact same match, exact same map rather. And with different opponents facing each other with varied different skill levels. So it's going to give a good indication of basically how different OSs manage to play this map, and maybe from it you might be able to see some improvements that you can make. And as we quickly have a look at what our 2 players are today, we have Axitas. I'm going to say Axitas, playing as Cortex vehicles today, and their opponent on the opposite side is Cornes de Veau, playing as Cortex as well, also going vehicles. Now, there is a 10 OS difference between the 2 players here of 19 and 28 for Cornes. So you would think Cornes should have this in the bag just on OS, but the Apprentice League is all about learning and improving in a 1v1 or 2v2 environment. So this is exactly the sort of thing you want. So if you're interested in lower OS 1v1s and trying to get better, you should head over to their Discord. They play the tournaments every Wednesday evening in Central European time, and you can register to join on the APM website. It's a 6-round Swiss tournament, no prize pool. It's just about giving you a chance to learn and improve. And if you're a bit of a high OS person or would like to help, they are also looking for people to help kind of manage behind the scenes and coordinate stuff. So why not reach out to them? Cornes de Veau is actually one of the admins of the tournament as well. So let's see how well they compete. So this map, we have seen it before on the channel a couple of times now. A 1v1 will soon becoming a 1v1 favorite, and also good for small teams, with there being 4 sets of triple mexes on your start position here. So plenty of metal to be had, which is one of the reasons why both of these contestants today are playing as vehicles. This does limit their grab of the Requiem, however, which if we select the con, it'll be a little bit easier to see, as there's 7k energy there, another 8 and a bit k and 10k energy up there. Not only that, but there's a lot of energy to be grabbed in the center of the map, which on a map that has interesting winds, it's generally a pretty decent wind ratio, but the lower 4 does kind of make it somewhat questionable, meaning you won't have to spend quite so much on energy. Now we can see here that Axitas has gone solars only. As we switch over to Cornes, however, they have gone wind only. So being vehicles and going solars is going to eat into that precious metal that Axitas needs in order to build his units. And with vehicles being quite costly, that's obviously going to play into effect. Now you can see that straight away by the fact that Cornes has 5 incisors here. He's got 5, well, about to be 7 rovers there, and 10 over that side. And meanwhile, Axitas has a whole 5 incisors to his name, 6 incisors now, and that's because of all of the metal that he is pouring into energy production in the method of solars. And right now, Axitas does not have what it takes to be able to stop either the incisors or this scout wave. Now there is an LLT, but if the scouts were controlled valuably here, they could get some value. Picking up a... oh no, they've gone past the extractor. Desperately trying to grab this expansion con, which they do manage to do. Not going back to get this other metal extractor though, which they should be doing. As more scouts kind of get a run by, these incisors are pushing into Axitas' main base here. And he doesn't really have anything here to defend. There's too many incisors. Good flanking damage though inflicted by Axitas there with the incisors, which has managed to actually win out that trade in the end, and that of being very close to the factory. But still, that's an example here of choosing your production, right? You chose to build solars because of that, had less vehicles. So, yeah. Replaced Con going out. There was no build power on the factory as well, which is another problem. They really needed a bit of build power on the factory before moving your constructor away. Also moved the commander away, so the build power on the factory is better than what it used to be, but still kind of needs something there. When we compare that to switching over to Cornes here, Cornes has kept his commander's build power on the factory the whole time and has been able to produce more units because of it. However, they are extremely focusing on micro right now and are doing a terrible job at expanding. This con has been sat here idle for a while. There are so many more metal extractors that should be being capped with this amount of pressure, and yet are not being capped. So, and this is just shows you here straight away a difference between those high OS players and people that are just starting to get into the game or haven't really played the 1v1 scene much, because that sort of a thing here would be so badly pressured if it was a like higher skill game. I say pressured would be a big mistake, a huge mistake, because you're losing like hundreds of metal from not capping these. There's 4 there in essence. 2, 4, 6, 8 metal a second you're losing, and that has been like that for what, a couple of minutes now. So math can't be mathing. My mental maths is not very good on that, but yeah, you get the point. Meanwhile, you can see that he is getting some good value, but even with all of this raids and stuff like that, he's containing Axitas, but that containing does nothing if you're not making use of the area that you have and are able to, you know, push out and build up to this area where you've contained your opponent. Otherwise, you just go in, spend units, and you're just feeding metal to your opponent. Just like these incisors here that have come through. They have managed to get past, but for what value? Nothing. And now with pounders coming out, we can see army value is just significantly on Axitas' side now, with just a few pounders and incisors. And that early advantage Cornes had from that early containment has already gone because he never expanded. Over at, well, about 12 metal a second difference between the two players, just due to Axitas' early expansion. And attempting to try and get a build turret here. Manages to get one. We'll get the second one. Yes. It's not getting any more than that, but still, that's a bit of damage. 2 build turrets down. When it comes to aggression, Cornes has done very well. Maybe too aggressive in times. Like this situation up here, but now starting to move into facing pounders. Really needs to be kind of either fighting on different avenues, using these raiders to an advantage, or transitioning himself to something else. But again, the problem being that due to a lack of expansion, Cornes does not have the metal to do it. And also, this is a bit of a faux pas. So he's continuing to scale E, which is fine. But if you've gone energy converters, you should really be going energy converters and continuing to scale E when you've got 4, 5 metal extractors in what's supposed to be your base that you still haven't capped. Energy converters are either in this instance to create a mistake of overbuilding metal, overbuilding energy. But then if you're overbuilding energy, then you probably should stop overbuilding energy. Not have two constructors sat on it when there's metal extractors to be made. So, Cornes, if you're watching, that's a big improvement for you. And I think he's just noticed, literally as I say it, he's clearly just noticed and like, okay, yeah, some metal extractors to take. Well, there you go. Improvement for you, and you've already realized it. Now with air cons, Axitas had an opportunity here. Cornes wasn't really able to do anything with the pounders, so what would have been probably more useful here rather than going air cons. Now don't get me wrong, air cons to get some of these high ground mexes maybe to spread out quicker, fine, but a bomber, a couple of bombers and a scout would have completely crushed the economy here of Cornes. All of that energy would have gone down. Without the proper build power here, which we've only got one con turret, you wouldn't been able to get up AA quick enough. And that probably would have almost been game. So maybe a better use of air there, because as soon as the air gets spotted, Cornes is going to start building AA and your usefulness kind of goes away. Lots of LLTs here and an idle factory as well for Axitas with the air lab. Axitas sat on 2.5k of metal as well. Air has been spotted now as well, so AA turrets will start going up in main, I would expect. Yep, already one up there, see. Pounder getting too close and gets degunned as well. Meanwhile, two incisors for Cornes are still running around the back line. There's still two metal extractors here, which you never got rebuilt. And these chasing units will get grabbed as well. Quite easily at that. Now, surprisingly, this con built this radar up here and then just was set to drive all the way over here for some reason. Bit odd. Could have built like an LLT or an AA. He must know that something's there. Yeah, you can see the aircon. Dude, you could have just built an AA here and that would have completely shut down that con. But because now it's been left, he's just like opening up them to build like a whole bunch of stuff up here. This was a higher tier 1v1 as well. What you would have started seeing is both players by now definitely would have had air factories up and some fighters. Shurikens as well in the mix here to help in these sorts of fights. A Shuriken army here would just completely decimate Axitas' army, and that would allow Cornes to just run riot through base. But no, nothing of the sort coming out from either player just yet. Seems the aircon did get shut down, and now the wall is actually going to become favorable for Cornes. Except the fact that, you know, Axitas can just destroy it. Axitas, though, now sat on a huge amount of metal. Are we going to see a Tech 2 transition? No, but wasting 240 metal, building a second vehicle lab here to then go for the Tech 2. Just a bit of an odd choice. God, the impulse from the pounder is so devastating against just lone brutes. Interesting though, from Cornes, we're seeing a central bot lab here with thugs being poured out. I think this here is one of the very first few raids we've seen from Axitas all game. Playing on the defensive most of the time. Looking to try and get a little bit of damage inflicted on Cornes. These incisors will take out a couple of metal extractors before getting killed. There's another fight happening down the bottom here, but oh, actually managing to get 4 metal extractors and continue going as attention for Cornes is in this fight down here, where his tanks are performing better at this kind of elevated position. Counter's biggest weakness is the fact that it can basically only fire in a straight line. So as soon as you run into Rex and stuff, they start becoming a bit of a problem. Meanwhile, over this side, we see a couple of Salamanders also out now from Axitas. Not the best of Tech 2 units, but in this instance will be enough. Command of Axitas in a bit of an interesting position here. The Fug push coming strong and hard down the center. Taking out a LLT, Mel Extractor. Not focusing on the rest of the LLT that is here and just losing the Fugs due to that. Axitas surprisingly ate the vehicle, the air lab rather. Like, I would have expected to keep that for Shurikens. Shurikens would have just put a stop to this, like, straight away. Cornes just pummeling the single Fug line in from the factory is a big mistake. And now there is 2k of Reclaim just sat there and 2k of Reclaim over here. And again, because Cornes doesn't have an air lab, he can't contest these air cons just waltzing over there. Cornes needs to work on expansion. Definitely. Like, I don't think a single con has gone this way at all. They've all just gone this way. There's like equalish amount of Mel Extractors both ways, so why not? I would also argue that Axitas may be overbuilding E. 70 windmills. Only now just getting the Tech 2 con out and now trying to rebuild the air lab as well as having an idle vehicle plant. Like, just so much stuff going on everywhere. If you keep this one idle, use it for some rascal spam. Don't want to cost you much, but you get some value from it, from vision. Now, Cornes has built a Tech 2 factory in his main, but with no unit production coming out from there now and everything coming out from the middle, how's he going to stop this? Now, he has started pushing out some Tech 2 units, but he's losing the expansion here and here. His commander is going to be isolated in the middle. He needs to do damage with this force he's kind of built up here and trying to do something with it. Don't think Cornes stopped scaling his E and is now having a massive E shortage. And I think this is going to be it for Cornes. Losing his main here, pretty much nothing to stop it. Now, don't get me wrong. As we switch over to the opposite side of the map, Cornes, well, actually, as we don't just yet, Cornes is kind of trying to keep this guy safe, but ain't going to do anything because there's not enough here to stop this. Factory is also idle right now as well. So, yeah, that's dead. But on the opposite side of the map, the Fug push from Cornes has wiped out the very first base that Axitas has, but most of the stuff is in this Tech 2 base now. So question is this going to be a complete base trade here? And if so, who is going to win? Because right now, there are Tech 2 tanks, Tigers coming out on the field, and with a little bit of Shurikens mixed into this, Axitas should be fine. We actually select the red player's economy. Cornes currently not producing anything as we quickly check. Slowly producing Fugs. Has no build power here yet. kind of do with that. But this Tech 2 unit's just mowing through, getting rid of any of the economy that Cornes does have. But Cornes has to kind of do the same back here. He is slowly taking out the wins. So there's a bunch of wins at the bottom that are getting taken out. All of these wins here. And to be fair, that will leave Axitas with just 4 solars, which is not enough to run Tech 2 mexes. Thing is, though, he's not able to kill any of the build power here or defensive units. More forces are coming in from a different angle, though. They're having to face that many LLTs. Not able to do enough. And as soon as that Tech 2... oh, this is a ballsy move. So he was losing all of his wins and instead decides to eat his solars. And accidentally, by the looks of it, eating the Tech 2 con there rather than the solar. Oh dear. And now, with no energy left because he's eaten all of his solars and lost most of his wins, struggling to get anything built in time. Tech 1 and Tech 2 units being produced at the same time, desperately trying to build this Scorpion pop-up. But I think that Cornes has just run out of steam with no units left really on the map at all. And that's pretty much going to be all she wrote for Cornes. Now, Cornes did manage to save a Tech 2 con back here. But they don't really have that much in the way of energy. Still have this base in the center. And now starting to build advanced solars. Okay, so could pay off. Biggest impact here is that Cornes is able to get this reclaim field. How well it's going to hold off versus the growing Tech 2 tank horde that Axitas is starting to build up. Total of 4 tigers now. Not bringing them all to bear at the same time though, but as soon as that pop-up goes up, that's going to be a lot harder for Cornes to push into. We'll have to go round instead. Which, to be fair, going round might not be a bad call right now. More energy damage would be quite impactful, although Axitas is building just an array of solars just there. Would have been nice to see sending some of these resbots back here. Because there's a lot of these windmills that are like could be rezzed and get stuff back up and running. You res your build power from a construction vehicle. You know, there's a bunch of units here. Even if you eat it, there's 3.5k worth of metal there. And with both players kind of being somewhat close on metal income, you know, to a 5k difference. So that reclaim field does make a huge impact. Resbot down here is eating up all the wind farm though, which is good. Would have maybe eaten this, but you know, a whoopsie maybe on the Resbot's front. And here comes the Tigers. Cornes is going to have to move his commander out to try and stop this, but yeah, too many solars. Misses the D-gun. Lands one there. Needs to be careful. I don't think it's getting close enough here, but the LLTs should be sufficient. Yeah, there we go. Tech 2 now back up and running for Cornes. Going straight into Fiends. I'm going to self-deed this or try to eat this with the Resbots, but oh well. Now he's trying to self-deed it. There we go. I think both players basically wiped bases. The air cons that Axitas had left are slowly just going around and capping extra mexes that are not really being contested by Cornes. Cornes. However you pronounce it. Cornes. I'm forgetting how I pronounce the name already. Oh, Resbot's going. Fiends, I don't know if they were necessarily the right choice here. He wants units out quick. No energy to D-gun, expecting to have the energy there. I think Cornes' commander might get grabbed here if he's not careful. Lots of twin guards. Actually doing enough to put a stop to this push, but more Tigers are on the way. Cornes' calm is looking pretty worse for wear. And the Fiends aren't cutting it. What you actually see from quite a lot of higher tier players right now would be Spectres and either Bedbugs or Scuttles. Scuttles would be a bit hard on this energy income. They're just EMPing them and then blowing them up. Fiends aren't really cutting the mustard anymore, and Cornes with a D-gun managed to take out 2 Tech 1 tanks. But now losing advanced solars. Got Fiends down here. Use them, Cornes. Use them. And for some reason built a jellyfish. That well-known land-based defense. Once they got on, like, involved in a decent number, they are working, but, you know, at the same time, there's 4 more Fiends on their way out. And after losing several energy buildings here, Cornes is really, really struggling for energy. It's got a big array of wins up here, but needs to continue building, really. Pop-up turret attempted, will not get finished. And with the Fiends running away, yeah, Cornes calls the GG. Well played. I mean, I've got to give it to them. Neither of them gave up, which is, you know, primo for me. Not giving up and just keeping on playing. Both players pretty much lost most of their base. Cornes, kind of biggest problem was not expanding earlier. Axitas played it slow and safe. Could have done a lot more to actually win that game sooner if it used air properly from the get-go. But yeah, well played. And I'll see you guys next time.